Hello guys, welcome to 4K channel. Today I'm going to share with you my entire lot of old US currency. I am primarily a world banknote collector. Even though I am from US, unlike most of the American collectors, I focus on world banknotes instead of US currency. I started back in 2018 and even back then, the older US banknotes, especially those large size pre-1929 banknotes, were quite expensive, a few $100s. And I quickly realized that instead of buying one older US banknote, I could buy, for the same price, I could buy 5 or 6, really nice world banknotes. So that's what I did. I focused mainly on the world banknotes. And as time went along, just past 2 years, I started looking into purchasing and expanding my US banknote collection. And I was shocked how much the prices had increased from when I started in 2018 until now. So the prices of the US banknotes, the older US banknotes, have really gone through the roof. You really need to have a very large budget, $500 to $1,000 at least, to get some decent older banknotes, especially those iconic large size banknotes. And even then, $1,000 may not be enough. So I just recently, past 2 years, I have been gradually, expanding my collection. By no means I have a thorough or a complete collection. I don't plan to do that. I can't afford to do that. So what I tried to do was find reasonable price banknotes to have a decent collection. So I'm going to share with you what I have. Now there's a lot of collectors in US with some amazing collections. So I'm not trying to compete with those people. And I encourage everyone, if you're watching this video and you have an amazing American banknote collection, please do share. I'm just going to show you what I have. So let's get started. So this is a Colonial banknote. So this is a banknote issued before US gained its independence. So the independence was, 4th of July, 1776, and this banknote is actually issued March 25th, 1776, so the same year as the independence. So I really like this banknote. This is from New Jersey. It was one of the colonies. And on the front here we have the coat of arms, the British coat of arms, and 3 signatures. This is 1 shilling banknote from 1776. And on the back here, we have a sage leaf and some patterned margins. Burlington, New Jersey, Isaac Collins printer. And up here, this is really cool. It says, "Till death, 'tis death to counterfeit." So really cool Colonial banknote, the only one in my collection. Next, I want to show you some obsolete banknotes. So obsolete banknotes, also called the broken bank banknotes, are basically pre-Civil War banknotes. These were issued by private banks in all different states at that time. So this one is a New Orleans, Louisiana Canal Bank note, $5. And it's from 1840s to 1850s. Really beautiful vignette on the back. And we have George Washington on the left. Next here is another banknote from New Orleans. This is a $10 Canal Bank. And the interesting things about all of these US banknotes is the vignettes. All these beautiful vignettes. Here we have a vignette of eagle holding a shield. So that is what makes these banknotes so interesting. There's a steamship down here. Next is this banknote from State Bank of New Brunswick in New Jersey. You can see the train up there. Agricultural motif. Really ornate back. This is from 1860, so really old banknotes. Next one here, I really like this one. This is Bank of America in New York. And really colorful edges. It's a uniface, nothing on the back. You can see all the folds. It's also a really old banknote from, I believe this is from 1861. Now, of all the obsolete banknotes I have, this one has to be my favorite. It's a $2 banknote from Detroit, Michigan. And what makes it so cool is the Indian riding a horse and hunting a buffalo or a bison, I'm not sure. It's from the American Banknote Company. Really love the orange colors. And it's a $2 denomination, so that's why it's split into half. You have a half design to the left and another half design to the right. And all of these were remainder notes without a signature. And it's a uniface in an excellent condition. This one is really desirable. Very popular banknote. Next is this banknote from the state of Texas, the Republic of Texas. And this one is really hard to come by and quite expensive actually. It's been cut, canceled. It's been cut and pasted in the center. Texas star. And then in these vignettes you have Hercules on the left, a sail ship on the right, another 5-pointed star over here. Really cool banknote. Now, this last one here is from state of South Carolina. This one is a revenue bond scrip. That's what it says up here, revenue bond scrip. This was actually issued, I think, right after the Civil War. The Civil War lasted from 1861 till 1865. I believe this one was issued in 1872. So you have George Washington, then you have a horse carriage on the right, on the left, and then a slave picking cotton on the right. Here's the back. So those were my obsolete banknotes. Next, I want to show you some Confederate banknotes. So these were issued, during the time of Civil War. So it says up here, Confederate State of America. And they all have been hand signed, and also the serial number is handwritten. So this one is the older one I have. This one's from 1861 from Richmond, $10. And has Robert Hunter, and this is one of the generals, Francis, and it depicts the sweet potato dinner, and Minerva on the right, uniface. Next Confederate note I have is also from Richmond. This one is in poor condition, but what's so cool about it is on the back of it we have a overprint of the Confederate poem, The Lost Cause, by Major Sidney Jonas. So it's a poem kind of lamenting how the Civil War was lost by the South. So this one's from 1864 and has Clement Claiborne clay in the center here. Now here is a $5 note, and this one also has the same overprint of the Confederate poem, printed in red. Next one is this $10 note from 1864. It shows artillery horseman in the center. I think that's a really cool design. And Robert Hunter. There's the back. We'll keep going to the next one. This one is a $100, so the denomination is increasing. So this one has Lucy Pickens in the center. You have George Randolph on the right, and then a Confederate soldier on the left. Really nice condition. Now, of all the banknotes I show you today, this is my absolute favorite. This is a $500 Confederate States of America banknote from 1964. So this is also from that Civil War era. You have the Stonewall Jackson, General Jackson on the right. And then you have a monogram here. This is basically George Washington riding a horse. You have a Confederate flag and sort of a belt around here. And this is a uniface banknote. And these are getting so expensive. You cannot find in this condition under $500. Most of these in this condition would be now $600 to $700, maybe more. But this is my absolute favorite. Okay, next one. So all of these so far have been non-federal, non-government issue banknotes. Now we're going to start getting into the federal issued banknote. And we're going to start with this legal tender from 1862 with salmon chase on it. It's a $1 note. This was the first dollar banknote issued by the U.S. government. So this is the very first $1 note issued by U.S. government. It's a legal tender, and it's a beauty. Now, I don't know all the Freeburg numbers and all that catalog numbers, so please excuse me for that. Next is, I'm going to show you a couple of actually 3 US notes. So this is from the series of 1917. And I think, let me show you all 3 so you'll kind of know. These are the US banknotes, and I think of all the large size banknotes that I'm going to show you, these are pretty cool design. This whole set is very nice. Starting with this 1917 $1 with George Washington, and on the left we have Columbus, discovery of land, vignette, and on the back here we have this crisscross. That's why this banknote has a nickname. So a lot of US banknotes have nicknames, and this one is called the Sawhorse, based on the design on the back. Next is also the 1917 US note. This one has Jefferson, the Capitol building, and this is a $2 denomination. Here's the back of this note. Next is this $5 denomination, which was actually issued a few years prior to the other notes in 1907. And this is nicknamed the wood chopper because of this guy here holding an axe. So here's the wife holding a baby and a dog. And this banknote is special because it has an error, public error, where the word public here, the U is spelled with a C instead of U, and I think it has just a printing mistake. So these banknotes, if they have the public error with a C instead of U, they can get a little pricey, although this public error is not that rare. All right, moving along. Now this banknote is very desirable, super desirable banknotes. This one is a gold certificate, series of 1922. So basically it claims that, you'll be paid in gold coins. So these banknotes were backed by gold coins. Love the yellow seal on this, George Washington, and the whole yellow or orangish back. So these, even in really bad conditions, can be kind of pricey. Next is this banknote called the Educational Series. There were a total of 3 banknotes. They were quite popular. I have the $1 note. It's in not so good condition, but still quite expensive. So instead of backed by gold, these are silver certificate. So they're backed by silver. And the vignettes is what makes them so cool. This is history instructing youth, and she's pointing to this palette or a book, which is the Constitution. And the engraving is so cool that you can actually read the words. In the back we have the Washington Monument and the Capitol building. On the back here we have husband and wife, Washington and Martha. So that's really cool. Next is another silver certificate. This is from 1899 series. This is nicknamed the Black Eagle. Here's the Black Eagle, and you have Lincoln and Grant. And this is really an iconic banknote. Really like this one too. Has a blue seal. Now here's another one. Another silver certificate. This one's from 1923. This one is called a horse blanket. Now all the large size banknotes are technically called the horse blanket, just because they were large enough as if you could cover a horse with the banknote. Anyways, this also comes in red seal, and that is really cool. I don't have that one, a little bit more pricey. So this one is from 1923 with the blue seal and George Washington. This is my only Treasury note. Really ornate. You have the Edwin Stanton, the guy with the beard. That's how people know him, the guy with the beard. This is from 1891. This one I have in really, really good condition. Treasury note. Next I have these two Federal Reserve notes. And the cool thing about these Federal Reserve note is not what's on the front, but what's on the back. They have different motifs on the back that makes them really cool. Now people collect the whole, all the denominations, 5, 10, 20, 50. I only have these two denominations, 5 and a 20. So this one has Lincoln, blue seal, and then on the back we have Columbus, discovery of land. And this one here is the $20 denomination with Cleveland in the center. Back is really cool. It has a transportation motif. You have a train, automobile, here's a plane, steamship, you have Statue of Liberty, and another smaller ship here. So really cool set of Federal Reserve notes. Next, I'm going to show you a national currency. This is the series of 1918 with George Washington, and these were issued by different Federal Reserves. This one from the Federal Reserve in Cleveland, Ohio. So you might have from San Francisco, New York, all of those different Federal Reserves. Now again, the back is really cool. You have a eagle, with the flag and its talons. So it's a really classic large size banknote. Next, we're gonna move on. This is also another national currency. This time, this is a series of 1902 with Ben Harrison. This one is issued in San Francisco by the Merchants National Bank. So a lot of these private banks, or national banks, I should say. And then they have the charter number printed on the back here. Really cool vignette. So that's all the large size banknotes I have. So the large size banknotes were issued up until 1929. And after that, we have the small size banknotes. So this is the smaller size banknote that I'm going to show you next. And this is about the size of what's in our wallets currently. So I really like the large size banknotes. So much cooler, so much more design. But even the small size banknotes can be pricey. So let's start with these banknotes. Now these are the national banknotes. This one has a brown seal. This one's from Los Angeles, California. Hamilton, $10. And the charter numbers. Here's another one. Now they look almost the same. Difference is this one is from Los Angeles, this is from New York. Other thing is this is type 1, this is type 2. So the bank charter number is printed on either side. On the type 2, the charter number is printed on either side in bold and also just under the $10 here. It just has the serial number but no charter number. So charter number is also printed on this type 2 note. Otherwise they are pretty much identical. No changes on the back. All right, so within the same series, I also have 2 more to show you. This one is a $20 denomination from New York with Jackson, and this one is a $100 denomination from Chicago with Franklin. All right. Couple of red seals. These are the U.S. notes. This one on top is a $5 from 1928. Lincoln. I think these are pretty reasonable price. Both of these are pretty reasonable price. But really striking red color. This one is, you know, quite common. So this is not that expensive at all. $2 with Jefferson. Next, I'm gonna show you a couple of silver certificates. This one here is series of 1934 with a blue seal, and it's called the funny back. This would be the normal back, and this is the funny back. And this one is a silver certificate from 1935, and the interesting thing about this silver certificate is even though the back is similar to the modern banknote, it does not have the motto, "In God We Trust." So that motto was placed starting 1957. So these older silver certificates don't have the motto. And also we have this is a star banknote or a replacement banknote. Now, these 2 are emergency notes from World War II. So this one on top with the yellow seal was issued for use in Northern Africa. They were used during the Operation Torch against Germans, and also used when Allied forces invaded Sicily in 1943. So basically the US troops would carry this banknote. Yeah, there was a whole series. You had $1, you know, $5, $10. And basically the reason why they printed these banknotes with this yellow seal was if these banknotes were captured by the enemy, they could easily demonetize it. So your currency could not be misused. They did the same thing for Hawaii. So Hawaii was how U.S. entered World War II. Hawaii is an island off the coast of California, and it was, you know, bombed by the Japanese forces, and that's how U.S. entered World War II. So they printed these banknotes, and the special thing about these ones, as opposed to the Northern Africa notes, is this overprint Hawaii. So basically, these were also issued in, you know, 1, 5, and 10 denomination and 20 denomination, and it also has Hawaii printed in the front. So with the brown seal, these were quite distinct from the other currency, so that if the Japanese were to get hold of this money, they, you know, U.S. could easily demonetize it, and it won't be misused. Now, what else do I have to show you? Just some fun things. So here's a banknote which I've shown in my videos in the past. This is a basically tampered with. This is a $1 note, and someone has gone through all the length to change the denomination to make it look like it's a $20 note. But obviously a bank in Europe recognized that this has been tampered, and they stamped it, and they hole punched, canceled it. So this makes for a cool collectible. Here's a error banknote that I recently purchased. I made a whole video on error banknotes, so check that out. I'm not going to show those banknotes here again, but this one I just recently got, so I want to show you. It's kind of some sort of obstructed printing, especially during the first printing on the face, but the subsequent printing was okay. Maybe it was folded over. They're calling it a preface print fold over. So it was folded over and then the fold was corrected so that the third printing, which is the seal and the Federal Reserve number, got printed correctly. Really cool. Nothing going on in the back, but really cool looking note. Now, this one last one. This is not U.S. Legal tender. This is just a Disney dollar. Just wanted to throw that in there. Okay, guys. So I showed you a whole lot of banknotes. Sorry, the video is kind of long. As I mentioned, most of these banknotes I collected in past year or 2 years. So took a while to collect them all and kind of expensive. And now when I look at auctions, eBay or Heritage Auction, some of the price range is super ridiculous. And I think the reason why is, there are people like me. There are not a whole lot of people like me actually in America. Most people collect American banknotes in U.S. I think very few people like me collect world banknotes. So it makes it challenging because if I go to my local coin shop or a currency shop, they don't have a whole lot of world banknotes to sell me. So now I have to rely on eBay and sellers outside the country, which makes it kind of expensive because I have to pay shipping, and a lot of these banknotes take sometimes a month or 2 months. Lately it's been like crazy, with COVID. It takes a very long time to get these banknotes, and some get lost. The U.S. banknotes, the reason why they're so expensive is not only you have collectors, you have investors buying these banknotes. What I mean is you have hedge fund managers of big institutions, financial institutions, buying U.S. banknotes because they know that with time they go up in price and it makes them a lot of money. So it's an investment. They're not collectors. They're willing to spend a large sum of money, and that's what drives up the cost, and it makes it almost impossible for just a pure collector like me to then start a decent collection. And if you're starting now to collect these banknotes, you'll find that you're spending a whole lot of money. And so I'm glad I got this many banknotes. And I might keep collecting some more in the future slowly, but now I'm looking at spending at least $500 to $1,000 to get a banknote that's kind of torn up, in poor condition, because all the ones that are pristine, they go for some crazy $2,000, $3,000. Now, if you're a coin collector and you collect, gold coins, maybe that's not a whole lot of money for you because one coin might be like $3,000. But for us currency collectors, it's quite expensive. It gets really expensive to collect, just one banknote that's worth, $2,000. Anyways, that's my rant about collecting U.S. currency. I have a lot of world banknotes and I absolutely love them. And if I had more money, I would collect more U.S. currency. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, please hit a like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you haven't, and certainly check out my videos. I have I think 250 videos or more at this time, and always adding more videos as time goes on. So take care and keep collecting.